Before we begin, if you love hidden history, forgotten military secrets, and the kind of knowledge they never taught in school, subscribe now. Because what you're about to hear is one of the most overlooked survival tricks of the Second World War. The cold didn't care what side you were on. In the forests of Europe, the frozen steppes of the Eastern Front, the high altitudes of the Alps, cold killed faster than bullets. Frostbite, hypothermia, trench foot, collapsed lungs. For centuries, wool had been the gold standard of warmth. Heavy, thick, traditional. But WWII soldiers quickly discovered something horrifying. When wool gets wet, it stops insulating properly. Rain, snow, sweat. Once soaked, wool became a cold sponge, pulling heat away from the body. And soldiers were sweating constantly, marching, fighting, digging, running. So the question became, how do you stay warm without getting wet, without overheating, and without carrying more weight? The solution looked almost laughable. Thin, lightweight, not fluffy, not thick. At first glance, it didn't look warmer than wool at all. But soldiers noticed something strange. When worn correctly, this jacket kept them hotter than anything they had ever used. Even in brutal sub-zero conditions, even while standing still, even after hours in snow. This wasn't magic, it was a trick. Here's the secret most people still don't understand. Warmth doesn't come from fabric, it comes from trapped air. Air is the real insulator. And you know, WWII engineers realized something radical. Instead of thick fabric, use layers that trap dead air. The jacket, often worn as a liner or shell, created micro-air pockets around the torso. Not big gaps, not loose drafts, but controlled, sealed air, warmed by the body and held in place. The jacket didn't warm you. You warmed the jacket. But there was another trick, a dangerous one, if misunderstood. Some WWII jackets used vapor barrier principles, meaning they didn't let moisture escape easily. Sounds bad, right? But here's the twist. They prevented sweat from reaching outer layers, where it would freeze. Instead, moisture stayed close to the body, warm, liquid. Uncomfortable? Sometimes. Deadly cold? No, this prevented ice build-up inside clothing, one of the leading causes of rapid heat loss. It wasn't about comfort. It was about survival. This trick wasn't theoretical. It was used by German mountain troops, Allied bomber crews at altitude, Soviet winter units, and, well, Arctic and Alpine specialists. Pilots flying at 30,000 feet wore insulated flight jackets that looked thin, but were engineered to trap air and block wind. Soldiers learned to wear less, not more. Less bulk, less sweat, less exposure. And those who didn't adapt paid the price. Here's why soldiers swore these jackets felt hotter than wool. Wind resistance. Wind kills warmth faster than cold, you know. Dry insulation. Dry air insulates better than wet fibres. Body heat recycling. Heat stayed close instead of escaping. Reduce sweat evaporation. Let's say Purative, brun, cooling. Wool tried to absorb heat. These jackets refused to let heat leave. It was containment, not comfort. Here's the eerie part. This knowledge didn't make it into civilian life for decades. Why? Because it required discipline. If you overdressed, you died. If you underdressed, you died. You had to understand your body, your movement, your sweat. Modern people layer endlessly and wonder why they freeze. WWII soldiers learned something harsher. Warmth is managed, not worn. This jacket trick never disappeared. It evolved. You see it in modern military cold weather systems, mountaineering shells, expedition gear, even space survival layering. Light, windproof, air trapping, moisture controlled. The same principle, different materials, same war-borne knowledge. So here's the question. If soldiers in the 1940s figured out how to survive Arctic cold with lighter gear, why are we still taught to pile on weight? Why do we trust thickness instead of understanding heat? And how much other survival knowledge was quietly learned in war, then forgotten? If you enjoyed this breakdown and want more hidden military knowledge, forgotten survival science and historical truths that challenge what we think we know, subscribe. Because history doesn't just tell stories, it leaves clues.